behind him as a local Frenchman. Here's how they got here. Both men dropping a set yesterday. Tsonga, very impressive win over an in-form Stan Wawrinka, and Nadal brilliant in the first set and then struggled with Dimitrov in the second set before gutting it out in the third. And a look at Rafael Nadal, off to a career best 20-1 start. That's the big figure there. 3 titles and 1 runner-up already to his credit after taking so much time off after Wimbledon. Returned in Vina Del Mar this year and has not looked back. This is his first tournament back since Indian Wells, and he's had a lot to say about that. It's been a tough week for him getting back into the flow of things. The ranking right now is at number 5 in the world, which obviously is deceptive when he's on this surface. It would be a big fat number 1.
And of course, so many points to defend, doesn't he, in coming weeks? The only event on the clay where he doesn't have a lot coming off is Madrid, of course, where he lost to Fernando Verdasco pretty early on last year. But had a week off, a full week off without hitting a tennis ball after he won in Indian Wells, just giving the knees a little bit of time to recover and rest before getting back to hitting in Manacor, back home on the clay there. For the most part, has looked very solid this week. Of course, yesterday being the exception, and really one of the few occasions, I think, when we've seen Nadal really rocked or almost disturbed, if you like, on a clay court. Dimitrov was able to do that for much of the third set, and I have to say, I thought that third set was one of the finest sets of tennis played by anyone against Nadal, Sam, on a clay court that I've seen in quite some time.
I agree. It'll be interesting to see how Tsonga approaches this match, because I almost feel like he has decided he's playing with house money in terms of the fact that he has overachieved this week. In his mind, he wasn't really sure what was going to happen to him in terms of the season. He's looking for his 20th match win of the year. He does have a title this year, winning Marseille. Always tends to play well in this part of the world. His ranking right now, number 8, just slightly ahead of Richard Gasquet, who lost on this court yesterday.
Just for me, improve year upon year on the clay. I think if you look at his results of 2009, 2010, every single year he's been able to win more and more matches on this surface, and whether that's just understanding a way to play on this court. I thought he did well yesterday just to change it up a little bit against Stan. Wawrinka, having lost the first set, he just started to be a little bit more, step inside the court a little bit more, take the match out of Wawrinka's hands, cut down the unforced errors as well in sets 2 and 3. As we can see, his one title that he won on French soil this year. And there's his run through. Again, good stuff. Meltzer in the round 3 had a bit of a hip injury, so there's a bit of an asterisk, I think, by that result. But nonetheless, had to get the W and did that very well, and managed to turn things around very well yesterday. I mean, Wawrinka's had a lot of matches on this surface. That's a very fine win. And of course, shouldn't be forgotten as well that Tsonga had some excellent wins in Buenos Aires in Davis Cup. You know, to go and win 2 rubbers away from home on clay against Burlock and Monaco in Buenos Aires, in that arena, that's some achievement, and not to be underestimated, I think.
I think he realizes that too. This is quite an old rivalry between these two. It's the 11th match overall. Tsonga has beaten Nadal, you can see there, 3 times. Last time they met was in the quarters in Miami last year. They have only met once before on clay, and that was a Davis Cup tie, Nadal winning that in straight sets. And as we mentioned earlier, Carlos Bernardes, our chair umpire.
They really have had some close matches, as you say, Sam. In fact, the last 2 times they've played has gone the distance, both in Florida, as we just saw, also at the World Tour Finals in London. Nadal gave him a bit of a duffing on the clay in Davis Cup. In fact, I remember being there. It was in a ball ring in Cordoba, Spain against France. Love 2 and 4. That one was very hot that day. Nadal, obviously, I think, it's not going on the Olympic stage, so it's a pretty clear favourite here. I mean, given what he's done, but Be interesting to see what Tsonga can do to employ to hurt this guy. Because I think, you know, if anything, having had that set taken off him yesterday, he was scared yesterday, Sam. There's no doubt. You know, he's not felt that here for quite a few years, I think. With Murray in the semi-finals a couple of years ago, but
1 minute.
There's no doubt that was I think a bit of a surprise to Nadal yesterday. Definitely rocked him at times. I think for much of the third set, I don't know about you, I had a feeling Dimitrov was going to pull it off. Couldn't quite do it.
It's, I wonder, the mental hurdle there to clear, to know that you're close to beating Nadal on clay, whether or not you can actually get through that. But it's Nadal's a telltale sign when he is tight is he overtops. It's a little too much topspin, that ball will drop short. And Tsonga's hoping for some of that today so that he can be aggressive. Nadal, interestingly enough, though, said that he was going to try to play more aggressive today against Tsonga. I thought he might want to wait Tsonga out, see if he can get some errors, but that's not the mentality he said he has coming out here against the Frenchman.
I think one shot that obviously worked pretty well yesterday was the short slice backhand that Dimitrov employed, Sam. I think that's a shot necessarily Tsonga doesn't have perhaps quite as naturally as somebody like Dimitrov does. We see him use the backhand drop shot a couple of times yesterday, but I think that sort of the natural slice that Dimitrov has on his backhand side quite in the armoury of Tsonga at times. But it is windy here today. It is, as Sam was saying, it's not as bad as they forecast, but it is windy.
Well, we have the third member of our team this week, Arvin Palmer, courtside. How's it feel down there, Arv?
Yeah, it's electric down here, actually. It's brilliant to be courtside for this match. And just touching on the conditions that you're talking about, it's a little breezy down here. Definitely the coolest it's been all week. And I wouldn't expect if we see a few shanks from both players early on, but probably going to see some impeccable footwork as well. That's what's going to be needed when there's wind like this. It's quite swirly. It's not blowing from one way, so we'll see what happens early on.
It's interesting, Arvin, because the flags are straight out. It's a straight line wind when you get above the stadium. But can you get a feel for which direction it is going to affect the ball?
Well, like I say, once it comes into this Court Central, it kind of moves around quite a lot. So it's very swirly, actually. So there's no obvious direction the wind is coming from once you're on court side.
Okay, well, enjoy yourself down there. Rafael Nadal and Jo-Wilfried Tsonga inside the gates of the Monte Carlo Country Club, ready to play our first semifinal amidst this picturesque view. I'm Sam Gore along with Nick Lester in the booth, and down on the court is Arvin Palmer. It's the first clay court Masters 1000 semifinal of the year, and no surprise that Rafael Nadal is here. 8-time defending champion. Yesterday dropped just his 7th set during his 45-match win streak here. So he did prove vulnerable, and let's see if Tsonga has a game plan to try to expose that vulnerability. Tsonga came to Monte Carlo really with no real practice. Oh, good volley.
I was casting my eye over the numbers, the statistics of their previous couple of matches, Sam. One thing Tsonga's done very well is he's won a lot of points behind his first serve. He's up in the sort of low 80s on both the previous occasions. Now, of course, one of those matches was indoors, so you'd expect that, but it's a pretty telling sort of number for him. And he has got the first serve into play against Nadal. It's tended to be very successful.
First serve he's missed. Tsonga came over from Argentina and said he went home and didn't do anything. No tennis, no running, nothing. And in his first match here, he was not all that confident. He says he always has trouble in the first rounds, but the win against Meltzer was really a turning point for him, he said. That's when he knew he could do it. And as you mentioned his results in Argentina, he took a lot of confidence from that. He said especially when he saw how well Monaco was playing here. And it's all come together nicely for Tsonga this week. Roger Rashid, his coach, not here. He's back in Australia spending a little extra time with his family before embarking on the long trip to Europe and staying here through Wimbledon. So there's a lot for Tsonga to be encouraged by this week, regardless of how this match turns out.
And sadly for him, of course, having won those 2 rubbers, his country actually lost down there in Buenos Aires, lost 3-2. Gilles Simon losing that 5th and deciding rubber. So his work, as good as it was for him, sadly came to nothing for his country. But you're right, Sam, no doubt about it. You would have taken a whole bunch of positives, I think, from those results.
Nadal, on the other hand, comes here after taking time off since winning Indian Wells. And he has his back taped. He was asked about it in his post-match press conference. And some people were frustrated by his answer, but I think it just speaks to his class. He wouldn't talk about it. You know, he said it's normal to have problems when you haven't played in a while. His back, his shoulder, his elbow.
15 all.
You know, Nick, I mean, if you look at Nadal, he was off for 7 months. Then he comes back and plays the South American clay court swing, plays Indian Wells, then takes off another few weeks. So he said he's really not in a good rhythm right now, tournament-wise, despite that great start to the year. So it explains a lot of things from this week.
Yeah, I think as well, Sam, I think you'd probably be surprised how many guys on tour are carrying a form of injury. It may not be that severe, but I think there are so many guys who are playing with a little niggle here and there. They just get accustomed to dealing with it.
Great athleticism from Tsonga.
Well, if he's been sitting on the sofa at home, you might want to do it a bit more. Because look at the wheels here. How on earth did he dig that one up?
$30 all.
Today when you're going to have to manage going for the lines, because it is blustery, it is swirly. You can see how it's affecting the players already. And ironically, it was very, very similar to this last year on semi-finals day. I remember Djokovic playing Burdick in very, very similar conditions to this. It's very hard. Nadal distances himself from 30 all and holds serve. We've split our first 2 games here in this semi-final. And we have a phrase, I'm sure you do, Sam. March winds, April showers. Have you heard of that one before?
Sure, yeah.
And the winter was so long in Europe, I think March has become April and April's become May. I think we're a month behind. So these are the wins that we're getting.
It has today. Big passing shot from Nadal. He had that shot in the first set against Dimitrov yesterday, just rifling passes past the Bulgarian. Tough to give him a target. This is Tsonga's first clay court ATP Masters 1000 semifinal. And it's been a real milestone mentally for him this week. He said that because he's in the semis of a Masters 1000 on clay, he finally feels like he's a clay courter, like he belongs with the guys on clay now.
Surfaces, Sam, this is the one perhaps that takes a longer time to learn to play on, if you like, to learn to manage your game that little bit better on this surface. Grass, of course, is such a short season, only 3 or 4 weeks anyway, so that tends to be out and done pretty quickly. But this obviously is a longer swing. You can play in February, and I think clay is that sort of surface. It just takes time for you to understand how to manage your game best on this sort of court.
Game point for Tsonga. Trying to stay in front. What a shot from Tsonga. As Tsonga unleashes his 4th winner of the match to stay in front of Nadal. Early on, no breaks, 1-2 first set.
Good game to get out of that for Tsonga from love 30. As we see this inside-out forehand of his favourite shot, like so many of the players these days with that forehand. Tends to hit it better inside out than he does going cross court generally. You can see the way the wrist just sets back at the very last moment. Well there, because weight was actually going the way on his left foot, so he's actually losing his weight, but strong upper body that is able to get the ball through the court.
Big crowd here. Crowds have been fantastic the entire week here at the Monte Carlo Country Club. Obviously, as we sit here between the border of France and Italy, a lot of French and Italian fans, and their countries are represented in the semis today. Tsonga here in this semi, and Fabio Fognini in the next semi against Novak Djokovic. It's going to be a tough task for both of them today, taking on players like Nadal and Djokovic. But Tsonga holding his own here early. Nadal backing off, waiting for fans to take their seats. You know, a stat we were amazed at before the match, Nick, was that Nadal's won 43 straight ATP semifinals.
And he's lost one. And if you know who it was, you can tweet us if you're that smart. At Sam Bigor, at Nick Lester. Only ever lost one semi-final on a clay court.
It
was a fair while ago as well. Just to clarify what we just said, 43-1 on a clay court in semi-finals. This man. Only one guy has beaten him. Who was it?
43 in a row. Gosh.
One thing that was noticeable yesterday as well is because it's slightly heavier conditions, Nadal's ball just doesn't have quite the effect. And again, you can see in that rally, it was pretty evident when it was hitting on Tsonga's side of the court, it wasn't really doing a great deal there, was it? Just used a bit more width just to try and go around the Frenchman a bit more.
We did have some fairly significant rain showers after play concluded yesterday, but none so far today. It's very windy, so they'll be watering the courts down in between sets, Carlos Bernardes said. Smart shot by Tsonga. He had very good length, and then as we've seen this week, the short ball Nadal is just not handling well yet.
I couldn't agree more, Sam. Very smart shot, and I think it's a shot he can employ well today. If he can use it at the right time, though, again, just disrupting Nadal's patterns of play, bringing him off the baseline. Used that shot to mixed effect yesterday against Wawrinka. Smartly played there.
What a backhand from Tsonga. That's his first backhand winner, and it gives him his first chance to break. Tsonga's playing so relaxed today. He said anything he achieves today would just be a bonus for the week. And that can be a dangerous train of thought for some players, but I think the freer Tsonga's mind is, the better he plays. Tsonga frustrated. That caught the back of the line.
I think he was just hoping that one was just going to drift long, wasn't he?
Yes.
Because he was in position to play it. No reason why he shouldn't have played it.
Still break point, though. Oh! Tsonga did everything right. And Nadal was just that good.
Oh, from this position here, Tsonga's favourite all day long, isn't he? And I just wonder if he just left this ball. Didn't seem to be that far away. I think he left it, Sam. I think he expected the ball to drift wide. And that was his reaction.
So Nadal saves the break points. And then he'll take it. That was close. Got to be tough to hit those overheads in that wind. to break point. Tsonga thought for sure he had it and just missed. I mean, it looked so good coming down that line, and it just kept moving.
Tsonga just sort of pulling his finger around as if to say, I just don't know where the wind's coming from. And of course, one thing it does as well, it just takes your trust away from the shot sometimes, because you're setting up for the ball and you just don't quite know where you're going to be set, if the ball's going to move just a fraction off.
Nadal escapes, and it's 2-all. Arvin Palmer is on court for us today. And Arvin, give us the wind report, because it did seem to be affecting play during that game.
Yeah, just as I thought at the start of the match when they were warming up, it was very swirly, and the wind does seem to keep on changing. I know for sure Tsonga left that pass down the line from Nadal thinking it was going to drift wide, but the wind just switched at the last second.
Thanks, Arvin. Tsonga had 3 break points in that last game.
To give you the answer to that quiz question we set you as well, MONTECARLO, the only man to beat Rafael Nadal on a clay court in a semi-final. It was a fair while ago. Carlos Moya was the man. Umag in 2003.
15 all.
Did you get any tweets that got it right there, sir?
No, I actually did.
Oh,
No, our director, Guy Tassel, got it within 10 seconds, which completely shocks me. Ask Guy about a wine or beer recommendation, but I certainly wouldn't expect him to get that. Oh, that is nice, as Nadal perfectly places that inside-out forehand.
Nice move. Kind of a long way here as well. He was some way back, but really did well to move up to the ball, and a shot perhaps that he struggled with a little bit yesterday, but picked his target early.
First ace for Tsonga. It's number 3 in aces for the week. That was his 21st of the tournament. Little bit of luck for Nadal, but the champions seem to get that luck, and it sets up Nadal's first break point.
Yeah, purposeful play though. He knew what he wanted to do here. He knew he wanted to draw Tsonga in. What did you say? Tsonga, a little unlucky.
Well, Tsonga leads the tournament this week in break points saved.
Only been broken, I think, 3 times.
3 times.
Counter.
He's now saved 11 of 14 break points against him.
Brilliantly to skip round that one because the slice forehand was cutting into him so quickly here. Look at the way he squash shot, only going one way, just at the last minute as well. Skipped into his legs, stayed low, but
so another test of the Tsonga ability to save break points. And this time he can't do it. So Tsonga went from having 3 chances to breaking Nadal to getting broken himself. And Nadal takes the first outright lead in this opening set, 3-2. Had a double semifinal on this court earlier, Benito and Zimonjic beating Marrero and Verdasco in straight sets. The Bryan brothers play Raonic and Tomic. That's a interesting doubles team. It's coming up a little bit later.
Yeah, Milos Raonic, he was one of the stars of the players' party on Wednesday night. There's a video going around on YouTube of the Harlem Shake that was done, which is very amusing. I don't know if you've seen that, Sam.
Yeah, it was very funny. A very happy crowd here in Monte Carlo because the forecasters have been wrong to this point. Even though I don't speak the local language, I could tell just from the few people I heard speaking English that they were worried about the rain today. But it has not come to fruition, and Nadal has just broken to take a 3-2 lead here in the first set. Nadal's overall on a 17-match win streak this year.
Kansas 15 love.
Bjorn Borg has been here for the past few days, 3-time champion here. What do you think goes through Borg's mind when he watches Nadal? Because Borg was obviously the other great on clay.
More than anything, I would imagine respect. Sam probably he's a guy who knows what it's like. You know, he's been on the parallels with these two are so similar, aren't they? Obviously, the times have changed, things have moved on, but nothing. Sam, well, above anything else, respect. He understands what Nadal's what he's having to put into what he's doing on court. Probably got a little chart at home with his records. He's just ticking off each time.
The line through each one.
Funny talking about how we were very fortunate enough to be invited for dinner at Sir Mark Woodford's house during Indian Wells, and it was the night the Bryans had just won Indian Wells.
Yeah.
And I turned up and he said, how did they get on? And I said, they won. He said, darn, that's another record they've got of ours.
Yeah, I actually called that match, and what was interesting about that is the Bryants had never won Indian Wells before, and that's, of course, similar to being a home tournament for them. They're Californians, get a lot of support out there. That was a big moment for them for a number of reasons. Good shot from Tsonga. He needs something good right now. He's been clearly frustrated over the last couple of games. Really got away from him after he could not convert one of those 3 break points against Nadal. And time to settle back down.
I think the good news, though, Sam, is even though he is 4-2 down, he's not really been outplayed so far, is he?
Right.
He's had opportunities. It's not like it's one-way traffic at the moment.
Tsonga's one of those players you put in the category that when he gets hot, when he gets on a roll, he's like a freight train. He's so hard to slow down. But this year he's had more consistency emotionally and in those momentum swings. Just seems to be so much more mature and professional out on the court. And I'm sure Roger Rashid has a lot to do with that.
Well, huge chunk of clay is just thrown up by a gust of wind in the service box area of where Tsonga's about to serve to.
Well, as thin as Arvin is, we may see him blowing across the court in a minute. He's right down there in the middle of it. And Nadal just missing on that sideline. So good response from Tsonga. Bad couple of games, but he holds it love as he chases Nadal here in the opening set.
Whatever.
Been playing now 28 minutes. And Tsonga with 10 winners, 13 unforced errors, and a very even 4-4 for Nadal.
Time.
Rafael Nadal jogging off of his chair, maintaining a 1-break lead here in this opening set. Our first semifinal today here at the Monte Carlo Rolex Masters. Sam Gore along with Nick Lester and Arvin Palmer. Nadal seeking to win this title for the 9th straight year. Last year beat Djokovic in the final 3-1. Hasn't lost a set in a final since 2009 when Djokovic took the middle set against him. When he started playing all these finals, they were 3 out of 5 sets. Now they've been reduced to 2 out of 3.
They had an issue, didn't they, as well? I remember when Hamburg was being played, as we see Rafa's mum, Anna Maria, and just to her left, Zizka. There's Sebastian.
Couldn't quite catch up with it.
No, I just didn't quite get the width, did he? Off the approach shot, as we see Sebastian. Yeah, just you mentioned the 5 sets. I think it was when Rome and Hamburg were back-to-back, wasn't it? Or the other way around. And players were going to the final having 5-set matches and then having to pull out of Hamburg. And that was obviously at the cost of the tournament. So I think they decided to keep it simple.
Let's join Arvin Palmer now courtside for some thoughts. Arvin?
Yeah, I just noticed Thomas Karlberger, one of the tournament referees, been a consistent feature this week. It's timing between points, even in these windy conditions. They're not going to give any leeway here.
And Nick, to follow up on Arvin's comments, we had a meeting with the ATP this week about that time violation rule and the new emphasis on it this year.
I think what's abundantly clear is that play's been quicker this year, Sam. I think we're all, as commentators, journalists, broadcasters, watchers of the game, we're all pretty clear, and the numbers back that up. We've been given some numbers this week that identify that as being clear points, time between points, and average match length, for example, much quicker.
Well, for those that are not familiar with it, you want to go through some of the details of the new emphasis?
They've obviously just tried to make sure that players aren't taking too long between points. They've tried to enforce the 25-second rule between points. Too good, and they've done that, of course, by bringing in a penalty. If you are given a warning, if you're given a second warning, you will lose a first serve. The same applies for the receiver, who, if they are given a second warning, will lose the point.
And we've seen both servers and receivers given the warning this week. Must-hold game here for Tsonga. Just had too much air under it.
Well, again, we said it would be a useful tactic, but again, at the right times, and having got Nadal out of court, Nadal just simply didn't have that much ground to make up.
Tsonga avoids going down set point. Tsonga broke a 6-match Masters 1000 quarterfinal losing streak yesterday when he outdueled Stan Wawrinka. And that missed forehand gives Nadal set point.
15-14.
Tsonga saves it, but still facing one.
Play that has worked well for Djokovic at times against Nadal, using that out wide serve to create some room for himself and then really go after the second shot.
Well, Nadal draws the error from Tsonga, and the set comes with it. Rafael Nadal rides a couple of breaks of serve all the way to the first set win, 6-3. in 36 minutes.
Just a few too many unforced errors, weren't there, creeping in towards the second half of that set. I lived with him up until about 4-2. Said it didn't think there was much in it, but just a few too many errors coming in. The wind perhaps playing a part as well, and you can see pretty level numbers. Tsonga were pretty happy with 11 winners, a few too many unforced errors, but look how tight Nadal keeps it in the wind. You know, when the conditions are tough like this, just 4 unforced errors all set. Very, very few times has he given Tsonga a free point. Tsonga's had to earn his money and hasn't been able to do so. 36 minutes down, Nadal on course for yet another final here.
Back ready to start the second set. Let's join Arvin Palmer for his thoughts down courtside.
Yeah, it's been an interesting first set, actually. It's certainly a set where I felt Tsonga was trying to be the aggressor. Had his chances early on, but as Nick mentioned, the unforced error is just starting to creep in. Rafa's just got to be careful of his length. It's allowing Tsonga to get on that front foot and attack.
What a point. Great start to the set.
At times you must drive yourself crazy having played Nadal on clay, because you just wonder how you get the ball by the guy. I mean, 3 or 4 times here. I just wonder if people wake up in the middle of the night having played Nadal on clay and I just think, jeez, did that actually happen?
Fans here were trying to get behind Tsonga just before that game started, or this game started. The French crowd's been kept out of it.
It's tough, you know, because the wind will always make it that much tougher for the aggressor.
Yep.
Because a player that is going after their shots, the footwork has to be that much more precise. And if somebody like Tsonga in this sort of matchup can't really afford to hang with Nadal for that long in a rally, you know, he knows if they're feeding the ball in, for example, he's going to lose 7 out of 10, I think, Sam. So he has to try and take it into his hands. So therefore, that makes it a little bit more difficult for him as well.
Of errors from Tsonga. That first one was definitely affected by the wind. That ball just blew right into his body as he approached. So what's the solution today? Is there one?
It's a tough one. I mean, I thought he played actually the second point of this game. I thought he played really well. He just kept the ball to a good length, waited for his chance, and then just missed out. But I think more of those sorts of rallies. It's always very difficult finding the right balance.
This was the set that Nadal was vulnerable in yesterday against Dimitrov. Aggressive forehand from Nadal.
Yeah, it's one of those sort of shots where you just think he's allowed to look good because you're just too short the return.
It's a 6th total winner, and he split right down the middle. 3 forehand winners, 3 backhand winners.
Nadal.
And Nadal settles down, holds serve to start the 2nd set.
First game, 2nd set.
Another impressive streak for Nadal. He's won 80 straight matches on clay in the month of April. We can just throw numbers all day out about this guy on clay. It's fascinating. Igor Andreev was the last player to beat him on clay in the month of April. That was in 2005 in the quarters of Valencia.
I think Kelly Clarkson was #1 in the United States. I'm serious. The last time
I'm sure you are. I'm just amazed that that's the reference you're using. That's fantastic, Nick. Mr. Pop Culture. Right. A lot of our viewers now know exactly what we're referring to.
I've got the timeline.
Yeah, it's a great measuring stick. Kelly Clarkson.
So, Kansas. Law 15.
Tsonga is shanking the ball all over the place right now, and you got to think that conditions really disrupting his ability to be effective. That's the guys that are with him this week. Again, his coach Roger Rashid not here in Monte Carlo. And now triple break point for Nadal.
Law 14.
Nadal's now won 8 straight points and 16 of the last 20 as he starts to pull away from Tsonga.
Nadal 2 games to lose.
Joe Wilfried Tsonga, part of our Emirates ATP rankings factoid. He's the first Frenchman to finish in the top 10 in back-to-back years since Noah. France has a good shot at having 2 players finish in the top 10 this year. Gasquet's having the best start to a season he's ever had as well. Gasquet losing in the quarters here yesterday.
15 love.
Sticking his foot on the gas, and you can see absolutely very disappointed with that reaction as we see Riccardo Piatti, Richard Gasquet's coach. He lives here as well, does Riccardo. Van Lubicic is here as well, doing some commentary.
Unforced errors pouring off the racket now of Tsonga. He's up to 24 for the match with just 12 winners to offset it. You know, Nick, I mean, I'm watching Tsonga. I mean, what else can he do? I feel for him out there right now because it is very difficult to play aggressive with it being this windy. And Nadal's just a better player from the baseline in those long rallies. It's a snowball effect with your frustration if you're Tsonga. That was good.
Court becomes that much smaller, doesn't it, as well? I think on a day like today as well.
And again, Tsonga trying to pull the trigger, but he's just not firing today. At least not yet. And Nadal up 3-love here to start the second after winning the first 6-3. Well, the French portion of this crowd has just not been able to get into this match. Rafael Nadal has made sure of that. It's been a great week for Jo-Wilfried Tsonga, however. A lot to take from this week, even if he can't pull this match out. He's definitely proven he belongs among the top clay court players, ultimately heading towards the French Open. Nadal's just been one shot better. Nadal really only hitting winners in this match when given a clear signal.
15.
Tsonga turned 28 this week. That was on Wednesday.
Come service.
watches that go out.
That was Nadal really at full power, wasn't it? The accelerator was really down there in that rally. 3 or 4 blistering forehands. Statistic a little bit surprising.
So Tsonga's on the board now as he begins his pursuit of Nadal, which is not going to be easy.
I think it was really put into context, wasn't it, yesterday by that remarkable number that the last time Nadal lost here, Federer hadn't won a major. That's incredible. 2003.
Kansas 15 love.
Oh dear.
Tsonga way out of position. Couldn't get his body adjusted in that wind. Not at the point of contact.
Yeah, looked like a volleyball player here. They didn't know where the ball was. Seemed to lose it, lost his footing as well. Confidence building after his wobble yesterday, Nadal, in the 3rd set against Dimitrov, who really hurt him. He really is beginning to open his shoulders. The finest forehand down the line in the world, surely.
Just the second unforced error of the set from Nadal. Nadal has won 8 of the 10 rallies that have gone over 10 shots. No surprise there. That's not a point that is typically going to go well for his opponent on clay. And Nadal moves ahead 4-1 here in the 2nd set as Tsonga goes back to the drawing board.
Let's throw it down to Arvin courtside.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. I think it's clear to see that Tsonga in this 2nd set have really struggled to find the balance between attacking and kind of just staying in the point. So often we've seen him try and finish the point and make an error. He's obviously struggling a lot with you know, the conditions out here, the footwork isn't you know, as good as it needs to be. He's had quite a few shanks and miss hits, and Rafa at the moment just seems to be very comfortable just getting the ball in at a decent length and just waiting for the error from Tsonga. So Tsonga, a lot to do here. I think he's got to make a decision whether he goes all out here and just really aggressive, or he kind of just tries and bides his time in the rally and be a little bit more patient before he tries to finish.
Time.
Well, Joe Wilfried Tsonga has had so much to be positive about this week. This is his first ATP Masters 1000 semifinal on clay. Turned 28 this week. And it's a good start to the clay court season for him. Well, this is going to be tough for anyone. But a real measuring stick. I'm sure Roger Rashid back in Australia watching Joe coming up with a game plan for the remainder of the clay court season. Haven't had a Frenchman in the final here since Cedric Pioline in 2000 when Pioline won the title here. Beat Dominic Herbati. Remember Herbati, that crazy shirt? That's all I remember about Herbati. 2 holes in the back.
Yeah, Herbati, of course, was coached by Marion Vida as well, Sam. That was one of the first players that Marion Vida coached, was Dominic. Just let the ball drop a little bit low. That one.
It's just been a real struggle for Tsonga today. Facing a couple of break points now. If he's broken, Nadal would serve for the match in the following game. It's just been that kind of day. And after an hour, Rafael Nadal will serve for a spot in the final.
Well, he suffered a scare yesterday, Rafa Nadal, didn't he? But back down to business this afternoon. Big forehand and a big finish. So difficult when you play this guy. If you drop the ball short to his forehand, it can cause you all sorts of trouble.
Good move forward by Tsonga. He's still fighting out there. Tsonga down a couple of breaks.
15 point. 15-30.
He hasn't had that much success off the serve, has he, today, of Nadal overall. Quite sure what he's trying to do there either.
Kind of stopped his swing. He didn't go all the way through it.
I think he was trying to hit it high with loop down the line to try and get Nadal on the back foot and his back end, but just didn't accelerate.
And Tsonga has set himself up with a break point.
MONTECARLO. 30 points.
So Tsonga gets one of the two breaks back. And he's still alive. Well done, Jo-Wilfried Tsonga.
A couple of early returns did the trick there. Set himself up in the game, and then see how stiff. See how the hand chokes up on the racket. The bottom hand is about a centimetre or two. See how he chokes up on that? It just makes it that much more difficult for him. That's why you see him often go to the single-handed backhand. Takes one hand off. Doesn't quite have the feel. Marty Fish does a very similar thing on his forehand, actually.
Time.
So, was that a last throw of the dice from Jo-Wilfried Tsonga? Coming back from 6-3, 5-1 down on this court against Nadal might go down as the greatest comeback in the history of the sport, I would have thought. Unlikely, but stranger things have happened. Just touched it, I think. Putting his hand up, rack it up.
Love.
Oh, what a shot from Nadal. What a parting shot in many ways.
And it sets himself up with a few match points here. Match point number 1 denied.
Can count 15 points. Lat.
Tsonga saves 2.
30 points.
Still match point for Nadal. And Tsonga rallies from triple match point down.
Full credit to him as well. Nice read here as well, because Nadal could well have bunted that one down the line, but Tsonga anticipated the one cross court. You can see here just a little shift to his right.
How about this? Tsonga coming back from what looked like sure defeat. He broke Nadal when Nadal was serving for the match, and now fights off 3 match points on his own serve. He's hit 4 straight winners.
Not really a guy that needs to win a lot of friends on court. He's winning a few out here. His attitude.
Yeah, I love his approach to the game this year. Oh, Nadal. That just did not quite come down. But it was moving.
The scariest thing about that is actually most people in here, I think, thought he was going to make it, and it was almost around his shoelaces as he struck it.
Tsonga has not won a second serve point in this set. Unfortunately for him, that streak continues. He's 0 for 6 on second serves here in this set.
That's how good it's got to be sometimes on this surface against Nadal, corner to corner.
Tsonga.
It's really giving these fans something to cheer about. Having trouble winning back-to-back points. The net this time unkind to Nadal. He was in great control of that point. As Tsonga keeps hanging on. Tsonga will fight for another game. He's won 2 straight games when he could be out of the tournament.
Oh, what a way to make yourself popular. Fantastic effort from Tsonga. Look at this. I'm sure there'll be a little bit more chanting as well in the second semi-final. Large proportion of the people here are Italian speaking. It's me up later on.
That second semi-final, not before the top of the hour, however. Tsonga's catching fire.
Nadal just a little guilty there of dropping the ball a little bit short on his forehand. The height on the ball there from Tsonga, you can see, just giving it a bit more air, pushing Nadal back. He was able to really lean on top of that one.
Done.
Fantastic stuff. Let's just straight down to half courtside.
Yeah, just a remarkable change in events here. Tsonga just being ultra aggressive. I mean, nothing to lose. Really going after the ball now. Fantastic stuff.
Arvin, do you feel Nadal tightening up at all? Or
no, I really do think it's Tsonga that stepped up here.
Tsonga's won 10 of the last 14 points. Whoa! Take that!
Did it with a broken string.
Wow. Even more impressive. And Tsonga is on the verge of getting back on serve. He was down 2 breaks. Nadal was serving for the match at 5-2. Nadal's first ace of the match. Couldn't have come at a better time. Still break point. Back-to-back aces from Nadal. He just finds a way to win points, doesn't he? We've talked about his baseline efficiency the whole match, but not serving.
Interesting reaction. Frustration from Nadal. Not sure what he was trying to do here. I just wonder whether he questioned himself or he wanted to hit that one inside out.
Lost by a long distance.
Can you believe this? Tsonga is back on serve. Nadal from 2-5 to 4-5.
Flattening off his forehand, wasn't he? Just going after the Nadal forehand, taking a risk, taking a chance. Again, we talked about this in the first set, how it was. I don't know, I just wonder if the wind has just eased a touch, Sam. I don't know, it just seems to me like it's just a little bit calmer than it was in the first, perhaps 5 or 6 games of this match.
Yeah. I was wondering that too. It's, it looks like it shifted a little bit, just the way the flags are blowing. They're still blowing, but the direction's changed. You're probably going to be bouncing around in that helicopter right now with these winds. And Arvin Parmer, our third member of the team, down on the court. Arvin, how has the wind shifted at all? Has it gotten a little lighter for Tsonga?
Well, it's got a little bit more consistent. It's blowing from one end, and it was blowing from his end there when he broke. The opposite way, would you believe it, to what the flags are doing there. So it's still kind of bouncing around here down in the court. But some fantastic play from Tsonga, just executing his game a bit better in the wind.
So now he'll be into the wind on this side. Tsonga's getting hot. He's hit 10 winners in the last 15 points that he's won. And Nadal is rattled.
15 love.
Again, I compared him to a freight train earlier in the match. When he gets going, it's tough to slow this guy down. I mean, everything he touches now is turning into a winner.
Well, the freight train that you're talking about is full of fuel as well, it would seem, because it can do no wrong.
He's up to 11 winners this set. More than twice as many. Excuse me, 17 this set. One for Nadal. Just wonder what's going through the mind of Rafa right now. Struggled yesterday in the second set. Tsonga just keeps hammering. And it is 5-all. 3 straight games for Tsonga. But 3 straight games when he faced elimination. He was down 2-5. I mean, this just does not happen to Nadal on clay. Vamos from Nadal after that point. It's been pretty quiet during this Tsonga comeback. Sharp shot from Nadal to go up 40 love and to try to stop this momentum of Tsonga, at least for a game. Good hold from Nadal as he asserts himself. And more work to do for Tsonga as the drama builds here in this first semifinal in Monte Carlo.
6 games to 5.
Tremendous reaction from Nadal. I just think probably inside he's kicking himself right now. He's bitterly disappointed with the way he's let Tsonga back into this match. It was really well done, that last game. Very business-like, wasn't he? Allow Tsonga to get all over him. So a couple of points. I'm trying to think of the greatest comebacks in tennis history, but from a set and 5-2 40 love down against Nadal on this court, I'm not sure they've ever been matched. Tell you what, they might have to change that suit for a Frenchman.
Time.
Great atmosphere here on Court Central at the Monte Carlo Country Club. As Rafa in trouble, but now back to within a game of winning the match. Tsonga playing very much on even terms at the moment, though. What a confidence builder for him. I am shocked that didn't go over the way things have been going for Tsonga.
It's been a go-to play. That's one out, serve out wide on the deuce side, isn't it? It's gone there every time, opens up a bit of space for him.
Kansas. 15 on.
So good.
Wow. 15 of the last 21 points he's won have been winners. That is an incredible ratio.
30-15.
How about that swinging backhand volley?
Single-handed as well.
Yeah. You don't see that every day.
Just dripped a bit low, didn't it? I think he didn't trust himself to get his left hand over the top of it.
dangerous moment here for Tsonga. 30 all. He struggled with his second serve in this set. That's one of the few things he hasn't done well. And that struggle continues ultimately to the point of giving Nadal match point.
30-40. Silver play, silver play.
And again, Nadal cannot close the door on this match.
Counter.
If nothing else, Tsonga has proven he is a force to be reckoned with heading into this European clay court season. And again, the short ball works.
What a recovery, though, from Nadal. Tsonga did so well with the little volley. I mean, this one right here, he does so look how hard he makes this volley for Tsonga. And then just a mistake. I just wonder if he could have hit it. I've seen it a few times where he's just gone with the bum.
Silver play.
It's a bit like a goalkeeper saving a penalty, that last shot.
Tsonga.
Tsonga escapes again. Match point against him, no problem. That side lead. So a tie break is going to determine whether this match ends or not.
Played 5 tie breaks over the course of their meeting. Tsonga won the last one they played at the World Tour Finals in London. In fact, Tsonga leads the head-to-head as far as the breakers go between these two.
Leads in crowd support too. So they're firmly behind the Frenchman.
And 0-1-0 Nadal.
It's in his strike zone. It is gone.
1-0.
Not as easy as it looks, this either. It's a pretty central sort of return. He's got to make a bit of space for himself. Blistering winner.
Silver play.
For a second straight day, Nadal is having a tough time in this second set. Tsonga has finally been effective at imposing himself on Nadal in this set. Everyone in here but Nadal thought that was going out.
It's a good job he can take it like that. Tough. I mean, I think you're right, Sam. Most people are going to leave that. You can't blame him really for leaving that ball, I don't think.
Two all.
worth remembering, isn't it, that Joe Wilfried Tsonga came back, Sam, from 2 sets down against Roger Federer on centre court at Wimbledon. This would be a similar achievement.
An appropriate stat to point out in this moment, given the dominance of Nadal in this event and on this surface. Well done. Just racket looks like it's part of his hand.
3-0.
Arvin, what's your opinion down there?
Yeah, well, it's been a fascinating set, actually, the way Tsonga's got back into this. He's been so ultra aggressive, and you know what, he's just got that desire, that look in his face right now. Kind of deserted him for a set and a half, but down and out. But he's really hungry here, and Rafa better watch out.
Nadal losing just the 7th set he's dropped during his 45-match win streak here yesterday, and he's pretty close to losing his 8th. You got him. The mini break to Nadal.
Quite ridiculous. I mean, Tsonga has hit that volley within a quarter of an inch or so of the baseline, maybe a little tighter, but he has hit that as well as he possibly could. Can't believe it.
Tsonga really went after that backhand. Came off his feet. Just taking that right out. And it's match point now for Nadal again.
6-3 Nadal.
This is his 5th match point. Great reaction by his parents. He had his first match point about a half hour ago. Oh, that was fun. Great comeback by Tsonga. But greatness doesn't always beat this guy on clay. A champion in every sense of the word, Rafael Nadal maintains his pursuit for a 9th straight title here. And it's Nadal who survives 6-3, 7-6 in 1 hour, 36 minutes. And a touch of class by Nadal as well, applauding Tsonga as he departs Court Central.
Fabulous effort from Tsonga, coming back from the dead really, at a set 5-2, 40 love, totally out of it, but opened his shoulders, had a swing, took some chances, took some risks, really went after Nadal, and they started to really hit the spots. So impressive. Just couldn't quite maintain it at the end, could he? And I think Nadal was rocked. He really was. Certainly early part of the tiebreak. I think we can throw it down to Arvin Palmer sitting courtside.
Yeah, thank you, guys. It was a fascinating match, actually. It looked as if Rafa was just going to simply run away with that match. Tsonga struggled with his game so early on. It was so obvious to see. He just couldn't come to grips with the wind. It was changing a lot. The footwork wasn't there, and we saw lots of missed hits and misplaced shots. But really out of nowhere, at the death for Tsonga, he just went all-out attack, and it started working. Nadal's play of just kind of keeping the ball in, being steady, suddenly was ineffective, and Tsonga was able to come up to hit those winners that he was, he was struggling for so long with. And but Rafa's solid play in the end was good enough to see him through.
Well, let's see how this match breaks down statistically.
Yep, 1 hour and 36 minutes. High quality tennis. Plenty of first serves in the box for Nadal. He'll be happy with that 80% of the time. Tsonga likewise. You can see the winners, 34 winners. 3/4 of those coming in the last half an hour for Tsonga. Really lit up his game. Unforced errors. Just look at that. Stingy from Nadal. 12. We saw, I think it was 4 in the first set, only 8 in the second. What a breakdown that is for Nadal. Kept it very, very tight today in that regard. And the net points won. Tsonga trying to come to the net. And again, more and more of those net rushes came towards the back end, the middle part of the second set, when he was staring down the barrel. He really did come up with the goods. And he hasn't won the match, but he has won a lot of friends, and I suspect a lot of plaudits.
So Rafael Nadal back in the finals here as he chases his 9th straight title here in Monte Carlo. Unprecedented. And Nadal winning 6-3, 7-6. Good effort from Jo-Wilfried Tsonga to make that second set competitive as Nadal was up 5-2 serving. In our next semifinal will be Novak Djokovic and Fabio Fognini. So it should be a lot of fun with this Italian crowd as well. Novak Djokovic yesterday playing one of his best matches of the tournament against Jarkko Nieminen. Here's a look back at the Nieminen quarterfinal with Novak Djokovic.
A cool afternoon to the early evening. And here's Jarkko Nieminen, the 31-year-old, the oldest man left in the draw. 4th career quarterfinal at this level. Well, it's been a difficult week for Djokovic. What a start from Jarkko Nieminen. It's well played. One more surprise, I think, out of anything else. Breaks again. Loves that Novak Djokovic. Some outstanding returns in that game. Just look. Novak Djokovic, who lost the first set the last couple of days, doesn't make the same mistake. 6-4 for the #1 seed here, halfway towards the semi-finals.
Oh, it's nice play, Djokovic. Just using the angle there with the backhand. This is what opened up the court for him. It's just a case of filling it after that.
MONTECARLO. 30 seconds.
Oh, that is perfect. He's twisted around like a pretzel.
How on earth did Djokovic get a racket on this, let alone hit such a good shot? One big lunge across.
15.
So Djokovic does it the old-fashioned way. He breaks. Does it the hard way. But what a week for Jarkko Nieminen. And same for Nole. Very much in doubt as to how he would perform today because of what we saw yesterday. But he answered that question at 4-all in the first set when he broke and never really looked back. This is what they are playing for. His Serene Highness, the Prince of Monaco trophy. Novak Djokovic hoping to wrestle it away from Rafael Nadal, but Fabio Fognini may have something to say about that. As Fognini having the best week of his career at this level. Yesterday played Richard Gasquet.
Need anything? Fabio. Good. Heads, and tails. Return.
Myself.
Serving and stay. Okay.